A lot of people don't think about the importance and the power of executive clemency or the power of post-conviction relief. And one of those, we saw some of that power exercised earlier this week in August of 2020 when President Trump issued a pardon to Jon Ponder. I think his name is Jon Ponder. Yeah, Jon Ponder of Hope for Prisoners. And should provide hope or should provide a message for anybody that's going into the system or anybody that is in the system today. You see, to get success later on in life, you've got to plant some seeds early. And I can tell you that it doesn't happen easily. There takes a lot of work to go into something to maneuver a person's way into a better outcome at an earlier possible time. Today I'm filming this video in my new studio where I'm going to be presenting this type of information regularly, and I hope that you will subscribe to the Prison Professor's YouTube channel and also our podcast on iTunes so that you can stay up to date with ideas on steps or strategies that you can take to begin positioning yourself for a better outcome. And that doesn't matter if you are somebody who is just going into the system, if you are somebody who's already incarcerated, or if you're somebody who has come home. The reality is that there are significant ancillary consequences to this concept of mass incarceration. And those consequences can influence our earning capacity, our ability to live a fulfilling life, our ability to interact with others. But there's also a way through. And that way through requires us to sow seeds. One of the things that Mr. Ponder did is he had this idea, this message of saying, I want to commit to helping people who serve time in prison return to society strong, with their dignity intact, with opportunities to live a fulfilling life, to get an education. And I know how much effort that takes because he has a history of run-ins with the law. And yet when despite serving a sentence, I think it was for bank robbery, when he came home, the Federal Bureau of Investigations officer, the FBI agent that arrested him, actually became one of his biggest allies and advocates. And in fact, both of them were at the White House to receive this pardon during the Republican National Convention meeting or whatever they're doing during this pandemic era. I don't even know if it's called the convention. But in any event, it should give hope to somebody who's going inside. Now, I can tell you what are the types of things that a person can do to put himself or herself in a better pathway for a better outcome. And that better outcome could be at the earliest stages of a government investigation, maybe persuading agencies why an individual should not be charged. It could be, if an individual is charged, persuading prosecutors why they should lower a charge and use their prosecutorial discretion, maybe not even to bring a charge. If there is a charge and there is a sentencing hearing, it's to build an advocacy case that will result in a lower sentencing hearing. If somebody goes into the system, it's these advocacy packages that can help an individual if he needs to get to a lower security level, or if he needs to participate in a program that can result in an earlier release from prison, perhaps either time off of the sentence or perhaps a earlier transition to home confinement. All of this begins by thinking, by laying out a plan. And that's one of the reasons that I wrote the Earning Freedom Daily Journal. The Daily Journal, you can get a download just by looking at the link down below, will help an individual start building a case. You see, to define success, one of the lessons that I learned while I was going through 26 years in prison and always focusing on preparing for success, one of the lessons that I learned is you've got to document your strategy. You've got to say, what is success for you, number one, but don't just talk about it. Create a strategy. So if I'm going to use the example of Mr. Ponder, I suspect that while he was in prison, he had a strategy. He said, I am going to get out of prison and I am going to build a program to help other people that are returning to society become more successful. So that's how he's defining success. That's what he's going to do. Okay, but you've got to document the strategy of how you get there. Otherwise, you're going to be, your efforts are going to be watered down because somebody's going to say you are lucky or, this never would happen to me. The reality is nobody can see all of the hard work, the hundreds and thousands of hours that went into building the process. Well, if you work your way through the Earning Freedom Daily Journal, nobody can say that because you can document every step of the way. When I was very early in my journey, I defined success and saying, I'm going to be able to come back to society strong, with my dignity intact, with opportunities to live and function as a law-abiding citizen. I am not going to have to grovel for a job. I am going to be able to walk into any room, put on a suit and tie, and nobody will know that I served a day in prison. That was how I defined success. It's not how everybody defines success, but that's what worked for me. And so what were the tools, tactics, and resources that I used? Well, I had to develop, first of all, really strong critical thinking skills and strong communication skills, but I had to document what I was going to be doing. One of them was going to be focusing on an education and getting academic credentials, because if I got that, that would be a tool, that would be a resource that would help more people believe. Then two, I would have to build a community support network, people that don't know me, people that I don't know, and persuade them to believe in me. And then I would have to build a documented record of contributing to society in meaningful, measurable ways. And I did that by writing and publishing books. Those were my tools, tactics, and resources that I created while climbing through 26 years in federal prison. But it was part of my documented strategy. And then, of course, I had to measure the progress every single day. How does this happen? How does an individual create all of these tools, tactics, and resources? Well, it's just work. So if you are facing a challenge in your life, if you are trying to build a pathway to self-advocacy, then my recommendation is you take inspiration from Jon Ponder at Hope for Prisoners, and you look at what he did. Don't get involved and judge the politics about it. Admire the individual for pursuing a strategic path. And he didn't pursue that path anticipating that he was going to get a pardon. I would bet my life on that was not his initial intention. It was to lead a life of contribution and meaning and building. And that's really what you or I or anybody has to do if they want to overcome the challenges of current problems. Think about the best possible outcome, and then define a strategy, document that strategy so that everybody can see it. Then encourage you to develop your tools, tactics, and resources that will show you're not somebody who just talks about wanting to be successful, but rather you're somebody that does it. And then finally, measure your progress every day. And so if you are going into the system or you have a loved one in the system, I really encourage you to invest in yourself by participating or enrolling in our Earning Freedom Daily Journal course. It's $25 for the first month. And that's because there are more than 20,000 words written in the book. Those 20,000 words I wrote to give somebody every single day the type of inspiration and hope and guidance that person needs to begin building the path. This is the same strategy that I used. It didn't get me out of prison any sooner, but it did lead to a successful career, at least as I define success. And so I want you to be able to define success for yourself. I want you to be able to build a pathway that will get you there. And I am absolutely convinced that the Earning Freedom Daily Journal will be the best investment that you make. But it's not just buy the workbook for $25. You've also got to do the work of documenting your story. I can only provide you the tools and the resources that I learned about from studying business leaders and leaders in every sector of society. Those are the tools and resources that I used to get through 9,500 days as a prisoner. And they're the same tools that I use today to build my career. And I hope that you will order your book today. It's in the down below in the show notes. And if you haven't subscribed to the Prison Professor's YouTube channel yet, I do hope that you will do so. We take these episodes and bring them into jails and prisons with hopes of teaching and inspiring people inside. Thank you very much for being a part of our program. Is there anything else I need to present today? I don't think so, but will take a second to show you this awesome new studio that I built here so that I can produce more of this content, because I've got a commitment to making it inside more jails and prisons across America so that we can teach and inspire people to follow the pathway of Jon Ponder, who eventually positioned himself for a pardon, but more importantly, positioned himself to lead a meaningful life contributing to the making of a better society. Thank you so much for being a part of the Prison Professors program.